The closest result coming in a league game on Boxing Day, 3-2 the score, and some of the goals were memorable. How's this for openers from Glens winger Tom Cleland? Johnny Jameson's free kick set up number 2, Billy Caskey's head doing the rest. The Glens third was a bit special. Gary McCartney's skill and finish breathtaking. Linfield may have been down, but they weren't out. Stephen Baxter persevered, and the volley from Jim Grattan was first class. And in the dying minutes, a corner produced Linfield's second. Alan Dornan with the header. Yes, big 2 games are usually very special. Glentoran score first after half an hour. Gary Hillis and then Gary McCartney involved, leaving Raymond Morrison to find the bottom corner. 6 minutes later, it was 2-0. Justin McBride's corner and John Devine's header flew in just below the crossbar. Then came 3 Linfield goals in 5 minutes to put the Blues on top. The first followed Alan Dornan's free kick. Stephen Baxter and David Jeffrey caused problems in the box, and Lindsay Curry got the vital touch. Linfield's second had a superb build-up. Curry, Stephen Beattie and the overlapping Alan Dornan opened the Glens up, and Martin McGahey was there with the finish. A minute later, the Blues got their third. Baxter again posed problems in the air, and Stephen Beattie was there to slide in the left footer. Both sides went close in the second half, but after McCartney's shot was blocked in 71 minutes, Raymond Campbell beat the onside Alan Patterson. 3-3 and a great advert for Irish League football.
Linfield have remained unbeaten in the league. Indeed, over the Christmas period, the Blues accumulated 10 points from a possible 12, including an accomplished victory over Glentoran on Boxing Day. Surprisingly, though, it's not the Blues strike force that has solely contributed to this success. Indeed, there are some unsung heroes in the side.
The back 4 have gone really well.
Oval for the clash of the Belfast Big 2. The Blue Men arrived expecting victory over this currently less than impressive Glens outfit, and they got it, helped greatly by former Glen man Raymond Campbell, who had a superb game against his old employers. Poor old Gary Smith was the man deployed to mark him, but Campbell's skill was just too much to cope with, and it was Raymond's dexterity that set up the opening goal for Gary Haylock. It was a goal that Linfield deserved. Their first half display in particular was quite excellent. Glentoran created few chances despite some fine work by Neil Candlish, who tormented Alan Dornan here. He was probably the Glens' best player, and at the second attempt he set up Gary McCartney, who doesn't need the likes of me to tell him that he should have equalised. The Linfield's second goal was magnificent. Between free kick and net, the ball didn't touch the ground once, and it was Desi Gorman who lashed a ripper past Grace. That goal added to Gorman's growing reputation. It was a strike of pure gold, and Linfield's all-round mastery alleviated any prospect of post-Christmas indigestion for manager Trevor Anderson.
I was delighted because everybody battled for each other, and I don't think you could turn around and say that there was any bad players out there. Obviously, Subi turned it on the first half. A wonder goal from Desi. And, well, we're up there.
Home side wouldn't have minded a blue Christmas, and it looked that way as Gary Peebles gave them the lead. But white is the seasonal colour, and the Glens had reverted from their traditional green, red and black for the occasion. Justin McBride almost equalised, but after John Devine was sent off, striker Trevor Smith ensured a share of the spoils for the 10 men.
Over the last 4 games, 3 of them we have murdered signs, Carrygrange, Distillery, and we've got nothing for it. Cliftonville last Tuesday night, we've got nothing for it. Today we got a point. I just told the players
yesterday, but Glentoran didn't have an awful festive lot to cheer about. A ricochet Justin McBride header was the closest they came in the opening 20 minutes. Alan Dornan, playing at left back in a reshuffled Linfield defence, tested Glens keeper Neil Armstrong from distance. And the Glentoran back 4 was altered as well. Colin Nixon in the centre, George Neal at right back, due to the suspension of Michael Smith and John Devine, whose height was certainly missed as Linfield took the lead. Alan Ewing's header making it 1-0 to the Blues. The Glens still worked hard to create chances. Eddie Cunnington will be disappointed he didn't do better here. Then the bright snow obviously impaired Neil Armstrong's vision as he picked up a back pass. Indirect free kick awarded. Darren Erskine miscued. Glentoran left their best football of the half to the end, but found no way past Blues keeper Darren Crawford. Deputising superbly for Wesley Lamont, he produced 2 fine saves. The first from Cunnington and the second from Londoner Glenn Little, who displayed some silky skills, unfortunately for the Glen men, not often enough yesterday. In the second half, the orange ball burst and the fans weren't happy. But the ball couldn't be changed, only white ones left in East Belfast, and the fans weren't the only ones who had trouble seeing it. Glenn Little did have the ball at his feet somewhere when hacked a couple of times, but it wouldn't be Boxing Day without a bit of a scuffle. Although Jeff Spears needlessly wanted to take the fight somewhere else. The Glentoran defence certainly didn't catch sight of the ball or Alan Ewing as he scythed through to pop in Linfield's second. Ewing epitomising the Blues' prowess in the midfield area yesterday. Glentoran didn't quite throw the towel in just yet. Trevor Smith had his header cleared off the line by the extremely effective Philip Nell. But Ian McCush sealed the 3-0 win for a patched-up Linfield team without the likes of Gorman, Campbell, Byrne, Fenlon, Beattie, McLean and Miller. The Blues sliding back up the table.
It took only 4 minutes for Linfield to establish their superiority against the reigning champions. That was when William Murphy headed in their opener and set the scene for a convincing win at the Oval. And when goal-grabbing Glenn Ferguson got their second after half an hour, Glentoran's chances of a comeback looked remote. They vanished altogether 3 minutes later as Ferguson gave Peter Thompson the chance to head in the third. But the best was still to come. Early in the second half came a quick free kick, an inch-perfect cross and a volley from Ferguson which had quality written all over it, a goal which would have graced any game in any league. That made it 4-0 to Linfield, and it really should have been 5, but Ferguson missed the easiest chance of the game with Linfield's by now traditional penalty miss, their 8th this season. McCann did get one back for Glentoran near the end, but there was little consolation as they suffered a second emphatic defeat by the Blues in recent weeks.
I suppose so.
Over 12,000 fans turned up to the traditional Boxing Day clash between Belfast's Big Two. And it was the Linfield supporters who were cheering first when Glenn Ferguson was in hand to head in from close range after good work from Paul McAreevy. Glentoran almost replied immediately, but midfielder Darren Lockhart's shot was straight at Alan Manus. But it wasn't long before the league leaders were back on level terms. Gary Hamilton's initial effort struck the post, but the former Northern Ireland international made no mistake from the rebound. Glentoran were creating the better chances, and but for a brilliant goal line clearance from Pat McShane, Peter McCann would have made it 2-1. But after that shock, Linfield began to exert their authority on the game. First, Paul McAreevy hit this volley inches wide. Then the home side had a Peter Thompson goal disallowed, before substitute Thomas Stewart forced an excellent save from Elliot Morris in the Glentoran goal. But there was still time for a late scare when Michael Halliday burst through the Linfield defence, but his shot was well saved by Alan Manus to send both teams home with a point. Thomas Kane, BBC Newsline.
It's Cliftonville who stay top, 2 points clear of Linfield, who lost yesterday's Big Two clash 1-0 to Glentoran. Michael Halliday's second half winner leaves them 2 points behind Linfield and 4 behind Cliftonville. Adrian Logan reports.
Before yesterday's game, all the talk was of Glenn Ferguson, just 1 goal off the magical total of 500. Yesterday was a day to cap a great season, but the headlines went to Michael Halliday instead. In the first few minutes, Ferguson had a chance, his free kick pushed away for a corner. 2 minutes later, Gary Hamilton's inviting cross just needed a touch from David Scullion. After that, Glentoran had several chances. Hamilton again involved. Kyle Neal missed a glorious chance in 20 minutes. He blazed wide after being set up by the busy Hamilton. Scoreless then at the break. It was much the same in the second. Hamilton again involved and Scullion oh so close. The Blues were riding their luck when Colin Nixon hit the woodwork from close range. A goal was on the way and the Glens Christmas cracker duly arrived on 66 minutes. Neal with the cross, Halliday's header, and the Glens on their way to 3 precious points. After that, both sides had chances, but the Glens held on for a deserved 1-0 victory. Linfield denied the chance to go top by their fierce rivals. Christmas doesn't get much better if you're a Glentoran fan.
It was a very open.
Riot police were called to deal with crowd trouble at today's Irish League match between Glentoran and Linfield. Seats from the grandstand were ripped out and thrown onto the pitch. A firework was also thrown. The trouble started midway through the second half and resulted in the game being delayed by 7 minutes. Linfield then went on to win the match 3-0. Glenn Ferguson put them ahead early on, then doubled the home side's lead on the stroke of half-time, before Damien Curran made sure of all 3 points with this superb volley.